Right, now that it's a little drier, I'm going to just bring up the tones more accurately on the front of the fruit because they're much darker than I've actually got them. So in order to do this, I'm going to dampen the fruit just a little bit so that the paint goes in nicely. So it's a wetting to wet technique really. So I'm just dampening this area here where I want to put a darker tone on the fruit. Okay, and then I'm looking at it, it's very shiny at the moment, so in order to actually facilitate my painting, I'm also going to blot it. So it's damp but not actually wet. And then I'm going to go in with this dark colour which I've pre-mixed and put it over here. So this is where I want the darker colour to go, just on the back of the fruit. As it goes across the bottom of the fruit, and especially here. This is really where it needs to go much darker than I've got it at the moment. So we're not talking about colour, we're talking about depth of tone, and this is often what's confusing to people, but it's important that you distinguish the two things. Where I'm developing the tone, not the colour, although you have to use the colour in order to do this. So you have to mix up a darker colour in order to get the value of the fruit correct, and it still needs to go much darker than I've got it, so I'm remixing a bit of alizarin crimson and a tiny bit of ultramarine to make a sort of richer, darker colour, and I'll put it on this one first. I'm tipping the board so that it actually runs down rather than back onto the down. Actually, it's got back onto here. And I'm literally just dabbing it into the damp colour. I'm putting some more ultramarine blue onto this back edge so that it makes it darker than it is. Now at the moment you can see that there's going to be a bit of watermark here, so I'm going to go back into my nice yellowy colour and just soften that back in there. I'm going to leave it light at the top. It's got a yellow in it, so splash it. That's about right now. And I'm going to, while I do that, I'm going to lift out a tiny bit of light here while the colour's still wet, just with my paper towel. Lift it out so it remains light. Right, so that's about the right depth on this one. Now I've got to get the depth on this one at the front the same. So again, I'm going in with my darker colour. Put it mainly alizarin crimson at this point. Pretty dark down the bottom here. And then, because the front of this is actually lighter, I'm going to run the orangey yellow into it. So the only really light bit is this bit up here. So you can see in both cases the dark is right down the bottom here, and it could still go even darker, I think, back there. So I'm dropping in some more blue, and the same here. Just dropping a little bit of blue on that bottom edge so that it makes it more in line with the tones of the shadows underneath. And again, the shadows underneath will probably go darker too. So you keep everything consistent as far as soften it, yep. Just soften it with a bit of water. And then I would just say that it's nearly at a stage where I'd like to leave it. Possibly this could go darker in there. Let's put in some dark green. So to suggest the bottom of the bottle. And that's quite a dark solid green, so I'm just going to soften it a tiny bit. Remember to also think about the back edge because it comes round here. Base of the bottle. And at the same time, the car shadow. And we'll leave it like that for now and come back to it next session.